9/11. An indelible image. A traumatic event experienced by the whole world. I'm Howard Nema of We Are Change Connecticut. Truth Talk News here on TruthBroadcastNetwork.com. Got a lot to talk about, current and past events. But first, let's take a look at some truth.
The focus right now is on Osama bin Laden, no question about it. He's the prime suspect in his organization.
You want bin Laden dead?
I want him held. I want justice. And there's an old poster out west, as I recall, that said "Wanted, dead or alive." We will do what it takes to find the terrorists, to rout them out, and to hold them accountable.
You say you want him dead or alive?
I just remember, all I'm doing is remember when I was a kid. I remember that they used to put out there in the Old West a wanted poster. It said, "Wanted, dead or alive." All I want, America wants him brought to justice. That's what we want.
And, you know, again, I don't know where he is. I repeat what I said. I truly am not that concerned about him.
Why are you and the Vice President insisting on appearing together before the 9/11 Commission?
Because you're criminals, that's why.
Because the 9/11 Commission wants to ask us questions. That's why we're meeting. And I
Listen
look
to
forward
this
meeting
childlike...
answering their questions.
I was asking why you're appearing together rather than separately.
Excuse
which
me.
was their request.
I'm not a Skull and Bones member.
Because
I didn't jerk off in a coffin
to answer questions
and tell everybody what I did for my sexual history.
Looking forward to asking us, and I'm looking forward to answering them.
Oh, yes, I bet you are, Mr. Bush. You know, it's amazing. Look to the future, forget about it. Look to the past. And remember the past, or you'll be condemned to repeat it.
Yeah. Look, there's time for politics. And, you know, it's time for politics. And,
I'm just a terrible actor and liar. And a disgrace. And a war criminal. Oh, they jump right on that to squash the thoughts. Oh, yes.
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories concerning the attacks of September the 11th. Malicious lies that attempt to shift the blame away from the terrorists themselves, away from the guilty.
Oh, my God.
they hate our freedoms. Our freedom of religion, our freedom of speech, our freedom to vote and assemble and disagree with each other.
They hate our imperialism, exactly.
They stand against us because we stand in their way. We're not deceived by their pretenses to piety. We have seen their kind before. They are the heirs of all the murderous ideologies of the 20th century. By sacrificing human life to serve their radical visions, by abandoning every value except the will to power, they follow in the path of fascism, Nazism, and totalitarianism. And they will follow that path all the way to where it ends, in history's unmarked grave of discarded lies. There will be no going back to the era before September the 11th, 2001, to false comfort in a dangerous world.
The families, and I'm a family member who lost a loved one on 9/11. We are the reason there was an investigation, a fraudulent bullshit investigation, and we do demand a new investigation, like the architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth demand a real investigation. 9/11 was an inside job. And I'll be down with Harry Link at Ground Zero on 9/11, here on TruthBroadcastNetwork.com.
UN Agenda 21, bailouts, sellouts, Lehman Brothers, Goldman Sachs, false flag, terror attacks, Bill Gates, Henry Kissinger, New World Order, mind control, Bank of America stealing homes with cut and paste mortgage loans, police, state, taser guns, FEMA camps, mad to run. Monsanto rules the food supply while Big Pharma dopes your mind. Prison system, profiteers, foundations, fund the fears, fund the evil through the years. The world's not as it appears. CIA smuggles drugs while Wachovia and Wells Fargo launder them, then give the proceeds to the owners of the Federal Reserve Bank. Now the IRS takes money out of every single check. Money created out of thin air and leave you with debt. They want to make you a serf, a slave to their demand. They want to take your life in every way they can. Fluoride, GMO, vaccines, chemtrails, United Nations genocide. The world they show us is not real. This is how they kill and steal. Rothschild, Bundy, Rockefeller, Club of Rome. On the Georgia Guide, soldiers written in stone. Cut through the matrix, awaken to the lies. Do not be hypnotized. We are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, I'm Howard Nema, and you're watching Truth Talk News on TruthBroadcastNetwork.com, and it's Tuesday, closing in on 9/11. 1 week from today, it'll be 9/11, and we'll be there. Harry Link, myself, and Vinny Bdatruth, and a whole bunch of We Are Change Connecticut representation will be there. And we will be live streaming, I believe, on Ustream. I'll get more details. I'm going to talk to Harry Link about this as the week progresses. But we are, again, going to raise awareness to what's going on, to the truth, spread as much information as we can, and continue to fight the good fight against what really is an ever-encroaching nightmare. Every time we get thinking about 9/11, how horrifically we were manipulated, lied to, as that opening sequence demonstrated. How it's just unbelievable, the lies, and then the lies to go to war, and how this whole event was propagandized and controlled, and immediately they were saying, oh, the conspiracy theorists, immediately, don't listen to wild conspiracy theorists, from a blithering idiot who was George Bush. Unbelievable. GW. I mean, he can't even go to certain countries. They will lock him up. He is not welcome in countries. They have war crimes against him. Malaysia, in a Malaysian court, he was found guilty of war crimes. But they don't talk about this. That's why it's Truth Talk News. That's why I'm here. Again, going through this whole matrix of evil, we'll be going down the road to total breakdown of society in Europe coming. I mean, the forecasting is such where even Moody's changes the Eurozone rating outlook to negative. And you have the European Central Bank criminals, the criminal cartel, are now providing details of a new debt buying scheme. How nice. Buy some more debt. It's the same nonsensical stuff that they do here in America with the criminal cartel and the Federal Reserve. It's the same players. It's the same owners. Same people own these banks, the controlling interests of these central banks. The big lie is that the governments own the banks. No, the governments don't. These are private corporations. These same private corporations that entice you to buy products that you do not need and will not feel good in your life unless you buy them, because it makes you feel inadequate. You can't go out in public unless you're wearing certain makeup or whatever else, or because you've been programmed to think that that's the only way that you can be beautiful, and you'll never be beautiful enough. Anyway, so Moody's is now finally obviously stating that the EU's rating would particularly be sensitive to any changes in the ratings of the 4 AAA member states, those being France, the UK, Germany, and the Netherlands. Now, again, the Netherlands, you've got all this influence here with the royal families. They're all cousins. They're all related. They're all Nazis, basically, believe it or not. Of course, even Prince Bernhard was a active in the SS, and that's on record. And his cousin is Queen Elizabeth. We're dealing with, well, actually not cousin, but his cousin-in-law. He married Queen Beatrice, who is Queen Elizabeth's cousin. So, they keep it in the family. And believe me, it's hard to believe. What do you mean? The British, we fought so that England would, England fought, we will have our finest hour. This will be our finest hour. And all of this crap. And the bankers had the whole thing planned, the whole thing figured out, and they were working it and using it and utilizing it, and everybody was buying this thing. The outcome was done in advance. It wasn't. It's not that Hitler went to Stalingrad and it was his demise, just like Napoleon. It was worse because the supplies to the forces that were here in the war, the actual bankers that supplied the United States and England also supplied Germany, and they built them up a tremendous debt on top of their debt and on top of their debt, and the Schroeder Bank, which was Hitler's personal bank, and in with the J.P. Morgan interests from earlier on, and the Rothschild interests that's in there. It goes back. I mean, they planned the whole thing, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, they really did. And the way they did it, you say, how did they plan it? Well, they pitted the countries against one another. Great example of that, Anthony Sutton's work exposes this with the Bolshevik Revolution, and then his book subsequently about the rise of Hitler. It's obvious they use the Hegelian dialectic. They get these countries and everyone to fight and fund the opposition. I mean, I am going to show a clip because I'm just thinking about it. How can I not show this? Where it's from the John Birch Society, but it's totally there. And jbs.org. I'm a John Birch Society member, an active member, and shout out to Hal Shurtleff, and of course Kip Webster, who recruited me, so technically. So and anyway, going back to this whole idea of the fact that these bankers pit these countries against one another through the military-industrial complex. I mean, it's really not that difficult once you understand how it works. You can, and I mean, I tell you honestly, it's harder to play like chess than it is this, but it is like a chess game. Because once you understand the pieces, it's more like checkers compared to chess. Once you understand, it's pretty easy to figure out how they did it and what they do. And look at great works like Eustace Mullins' The World Order goes into it, but also the connections with all these banks and the connections with the royal families to these banks and other works that are exposing the real truth. They're not showing you this. They don't show you the fact that, you're talking about Germany bombing London, the London bombings, and it was all horrible and everything, and then Germany being bombed. These countries were fighting each other. Meanwhile, the same bankers and oligarchs, the same military components, the same people that produced the weapons and the bullets and the bombs, were fighting each other. I mean, it's like insane, They're funding the opposition, literally, in the war. Like they do with COINTELPRO, funding the media in opposition. They fund the opposition. They fund the truth movement. They attack people like myself because I'm outside of the realm and I touch on the truth and I have credibility through people that I've associated myself with that they attack, such as Barbara Hartwell and Len Horowitz and Sherry Kane. There's a lot of them, actually. And Dr. Antonella Carpenter. I seem to be, I guess, a magnet to all the people that the government stooges are attacking. So I, too, have been attacked in many ways. But getting back to Barbara Hartwell, I'm giving a straight-out appeal here because she's in a situation where she has been deprived due to the COINTELPRO, the government attacks, and the demonization and the lies, the endless, ridiculous lies on the internet about her when she's exposed incredible truths and facts. I mean, anybody that's following Alex Jones and following Ted Gunderson and following Anthony Hilder are following a COINTELPRO operation that is conducted through the CIA COINTELPRO. Gunderson worked with Barbara Hartwell for 3 years, and once she was aware of this, she broke her association with him and started exposing him. She was exposing the New World Order and these evil criminals since 1995 with him, thinking that he was well, not 1995. I think she started her relationship with him was like in 97 or so. But she was, thinking he was one of the good guys, and he wasn't. And as much as he was claiming to all this child satanic sexual abuse, it's not true. He was complicit in it. He married Diana Rively, who was the former wife of Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. There's a lot more to the story. And there's a lot more to the demonization that's been, the campaign against Barbara Hartwell is unbelievable and it's unrelentless. And she is speaking the truth. I mean, these people are frauds. They're complicit in the operation. I don't mean, not necessarily directly, but they've allowed things to occur. They know what's occurring, and they're there to control any opposition to it. Does that ring a bell to anybody? Please understand how this works. And now Barbara has been literally down to the point of only, you know, like, I mean, she's having trouble making her rent. So I put an appeal out on the internet, and I haven't gotten enough people to help. But please, I mean, go to Barbara Hartwell versus CIA. There's an appeal there for donations, anything. I mean, even food. I mean, she's in a serious situation right now. And I would only call out to this, and you know, there's nothing else I could do. I'm not a wealthy man. I can't help her. I do all I can for her. I do anything that I could, and she knows that. And this is an important call out to you, everybody. I'm sorry to digress from the show, but maybe you've never even heard of Barbara Hartwell. Well, listen, go out there and look up Barbara Hartwell and realize that 95% of the stuff out there that's all these lies about her are all deflected from, you know, causing you to deflect your sensibilities and your thoughts to say, oh, this woman's, you know, like a disinformation agent and all this other stuff. No, she's not. Please do your research. Again, like I always say, but don't just take one man or two people's words for gospel, especially if they work together, like the whole Gunderson crowd and the Alex Jones crowd. They're all connected together. And then you look at like Agnon Khashoggi, who owned GCN, and then you own Reed Azelvia, who owns Genesis Broadcasting. It's in the fold of the holdings. Now, there's some creepy stuff going on, ladies and gentlemen, and you got to understand. It's like, this is how it works. This is a business, too. Also, it's a business because they're able to capitalize on this and make money for themselves, and to you know, also provide the government technically with the information, with the people that are, you know, subscribe to Alex Jones, so we know exactly who you are and where you are and what you are. I know that's hard to believe, but there's more than it meets the eye with him. And I was a big supporter of Alex Jones. I was a big supporter of all of these people. They were the people I looked up to. But after you do the real research and you look really deep into it and see the lies, many lies, the fact that the lies about what he said about calling you know, William Cooper a drunk and all this other nasty, ridiculous stuff. Let's seek the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Stop the spin and try to stop making money off of everything, and everything's a profiteering operation. That's how this whole thing started, with these greedy bastards. So might as well profit on it while they put us into a new world order. Might as well profit by it while they deceive us and take away our property. Let's profit by it. Well, we warned you when it happened, but we're all set. And those that listen, you know, hey, maybe you know, there's a lot of good stuff going on. I mean, people are prepared for the worst and all of that, and that's the way that it works. Because you say, well, I don't understand. He's telling everybody what to do, how to prepare, who the bad guys are, and everything else. Yes, but it's controlled information. It's controlled information. And just to think that he would be able to get away with the things that he's supposedly getting away with, all these other people have died. I mean, why isn't Alex Jones dead? You know, why are they attacking? Why are they hitting my computer and crashing my computer live on air with people like Barbara Hartwell and Lennon Cherry Horowitz? And why are my cameras being, you know, attacked with weapons? Why am I being hit with neurological weapons and other sorts of weapons? I'm not kidding. I mean, this is factual. I speak the truth, and I did it on air. It actually is. It's on YouTube. It's there. I mean, everything's posted. It happened live on air. I couldn't think And I thought I was maybe having a TIA, and I went the next day to the doctor, and I was fine. No, they hit me with something that they have that allows you to, or I should say, inhibits you or stops you from putting together your thoughts. Like you have thoughts that you want to put together, but somehow you cannot manifest them into a cohesive thought that you can express. I mean, that's the only way I could explain it. And I've thought about it deeply. And I know there's a patent out there for stuff like this. I don't know exactly which one it is, but I'm trying to find it. It's certainly one of the weapons that they are using against the people. I mean, we know about the LRADs. We know about the weapons that could stop you from breathing. I mean, they have all sorts of incredible weapons that to use against the people. I mean, this is where we've progressed to, and really, where have we progressed to? You have depression, suicides rise as the euro debt crisis intensifies. Now, we were just talking about how Moody's said that the eurozone rating outlook is negative. Well, yes, it's very bad. It's a crash coming. Okay, everybody really who sees the light knows what's going on. So now people are, because of it's really much worse there than it is here in America, but they don't show you this on television and they won't tell you this. But the fact of the matter is that in Europe, they're approaching a crisis as the region's debt crisis and austerity measures increase to the rates of depression, suicide, and psychological problems. Now, this is important. I'm going to spend some time on this. I know we're going to be having a break at the halfway point here. But if I go past, I'm going to definitely stay on this for a while before going into the rest of the news for the day. But we have a situation here where a growing number of global and European health bodies are warning that the introduction and intensification of austerity measures has led to a sharp rise in mental health problems, with suicide rates, alcohol abuse, and requests for antidepressants increasing as people struggle with the psychological cost of living through a European-wide recession. Now, it's a depression, and it's worse than that. It's a psyop, ladies and gentlemen. This is part of what they're doing. They want you to do this. They want you to die. They want you to kill yourself. They want you to go on the drugs because look at the profits. I'm going to show you in a moment. It's absolutely outrageous. The profits of the drugs on here. I have an article. It's just incredible. Maybe it's actually part of this one. Yes, it is right here. Since this quote-unquote recession, okay, doctors surveyed relate an increase in the incidence of alcohol abuse, anxiety, depression, and requests for abortions due to economic reasons. The globalists are just loving it, and they own, by the way, they own all the glass making, they own all the aside from the alcohol. The big companies, they own all the aluminum that has to be made into this. The big aluminum companies, you got to look into this. So they're loving it. Yeah, drink your beers, you know, get your 5-cent refund, criminal, you know, that's the biggest fraud ever. These states that have to put 15 cents per can. Oh my God. You're spending half your day putting away your bottles, or you lose 20 bucks, whatever it is, you know, at the end of the month. I mean, it's ridiculous. Oh, it's not really a big deal. You got to wash them out, clean them out, and everything, all this. Meanwhile, these criminals that are the Alcoa and all these other companies, their aluminum is being put into the chemtrails. I mean, it's just absolutely astounding for those that are awake and those that are not. Wow, I can't believe all the stuff this guy's saying. Well, don't believe what I'm saying. I ask you to research it because that's what you have to do. Your job is to prove me wrong. And by doing that, this is how I woke up, was I was challenged. And I'm challenging you to prove me wrong. If you don't believe it, prove me wrong. And even if you do believe it, prove it to be your truth. Because there's only one truth, and that's the truth that you find. And that's the truth. There is only one truth. But you have to find it. And I implore everybody to do this on every show, if I remember to say this, because in our unity is our strength, and this is how we can wake people up, and then we get the truth, we learn the truth, and we share the truth with other people. Through organizations like I'm a member of John Birch Society. You don't have to do that. You can just make a 5-minute video once in a while when you feel in the mood and rant about the truth. Put it out there. Get it on a regular basis if you can. Do something. Talk to people at the gas station. I said this before. You go to fill up the car with all this criminal cartels raising the price of oil again. Now, what happens with the war in Syria is going to happen to our oil. What's going to happen there? With the war that's going to be coming, more war in the Middle East, gas is going to go through the roof. This is the New World Order, ladies and gentlemen. This is how it works. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about double-digit gas prices, potentially, here. This is no joke. This is what we've been talking about, or what I've been talking about, only for a short time, because I've only been, I've sort of like came to my awareness and started being an activist, sort of as the wave starts to come to the shore. It's starting to really pick up now, and it really is. And the government's saying, well, everything's okay. Don't worry about anything's fine, because we're going to help you. We're going to keep you safe. We're going to take away all your rights, but we're going to keep you safe. As the suicide rates and all these death things are happening in Europe, here in America, they're planning FEMA camps, Homeland Security stockpiling on weapons. It's incredible. Ammunition. You have a call for National Guard to recruiting. It's just outrageous. But I'm just a conspiracy theorist, I suppose. I don't know. But I tell you this much, ladies and gentlemen. This situation in Europe is coming across the sea. It's coming across the pond. It's coming to us. And it's not going to be pretty when it happens and when it comes. And it's starting. I mean, it's an erosion. It's a millimeter at a time. That's how they bring in this order. It's a millimeter at a time. It's a corporate takeover of the world. It's really what it is. And the corporatocracy is designed to control the population, to buy all their products, and to use the insurance, and to get on the system, and all this other stuff that they control and own. The food, especially. Don't take the vaccines. You're an outcast. Don't drink the fluoridated water. You're insane. Okay. This is how they want you to think. They want you to be controlled, and that's why you have the situation with this. They're loving this. Look at this alcohol abuse numbers. Alcohol abuse, anxiety, all these numbers, not just alcohol. But I was just talking about how they're involved in the distilleries, and it's all connected. And it's crazy, but it's true. It's just unbelievable how vast and expansive this spider web of evil is, how they work without even making a phone call together, but they all work in concert because they all are sort of the same thinking and the same mind frame, and they get together and have these meetings like Bilderberg and others, and the Council of 13 and all these others at the top who set the protocols for the world, and then they just set people against one another. I mean, Israel is just absolutely going to destroy the world, because their actions, if they attack Iran, are going to be outrageous. The same thing with Syria. I mean, we are on a powder keg here in America. Without a life being lost, our economy will be causing more people to kill themselves, just like here. And I mean, it's going to be insane. Of course, we'll be involved because NATO is, Obama. The puppet will send NATO to attack, because they're doing something, and it's going to happen. I mean, October surprise, it wouldn't be shocking. You never know what these bastards are going to do, but they're going to do something, and something's brewing, like a pot that's got too much heat on it, and it's covered, and that cover's just going to blow off like at any moment, and that is what I fear, and I think it's coming, and that's just my opinion. And again, I'm not trying to fearmonger anyone, but anyone that's rational and understands, and if you could look into this and say, what do you mean more war? Well, yeah, more war, more despotism, more poverty. I mean, poverty is a form of genocide. It kills, and they love death. They want it. You understand the Club of Rome. You must research these things. Aurelio Passet and Alexander King founded the Club of Rome. The globalists with the Bilderberg groups, Prince Bernhard, who was a Nazi. It's just like it's a tremendous conglomerate is the right word to use. It's a conglomerate of everything. A conglomerate of evil. Maybe that's what I should coin it, the conglomerate of evil, the New World Order. In the name of justice, freedom, liberty, and we will save you and give freedom to the people. That is the New World Order. And they do the exact opposite, and they kill and they maim and they destroy. And they consolidate power and they depopulate. So back to this before the break, which is in about 40 seconds or so. Doctors surveyed an increase in alcohol abuse, anxiety, depression, and requests for abortions due to economic reasons. Anecdotal evidence borne out by statistics for antidepressant requests in the UK, which have risen 28% from 34 million prescriptions in 2007 to 43.4 million in 2011. So they're making more drugs. They're selling more drugs. They make you anxious. You buy more drugs. You buy more alcohol. You die. You make yourself sicker. There's more healthcare costs. It's just unbelievable. They love it. And they just keep burdening the governments with debt upon debt because they have to be good to the people, because they're being good to the people by poisoning them with fluoride and in GM. Actually, fluoride's not in Europe. Most countries don't have. This is an American problem. Same thing with GMO. Most of these countries don't have GMO either. But they don't tell you that because they want you to believe the lie, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back from the break in just a few minutes, I'm going to go deeply into this whole situation going on with the debt crisis, the war, and get a little further into the fears that we have where people are really starting to freak out. All right, I'm Howard Nema, and you're watching Truth Talk News on TruthBroadcastNetwork.com. Thanks to Harry Link and Pam Suggs for helping get this message out. Take care. Be right back. They do want to steal it all. And now we, of course, are on the list of countries with indefinite detentions. If you see something, say something. Well, I see something. I see a Bolshevik Stasi Republic being put into place. And I see war and pestilence that'll be achieved in the name of freedom and saving lives. Genocide in the name of saving lives. War in the name of peace. Prosperity at the cost of liberty and freedom. Profiteering for work, jobs. The New World Order is a slow and steady process. An erosion of morality, liberty, justice, except for the of course, swift and painful justice for those that go against the laws, except for those that are at the top of the pyramid. That's why none of the bankers ever go to jail. You get a Bernie Madoff, but he's small potatoes, ladies and gentlemen, to what's been perpetrated against we the people. And we the people, we will rise and we will awaken them to their understanding. The people will awaken, I should say. At least that's my hope. And that's why I do this. You know, sometimes I'm a little angry and screaming a lot, but other times I get really focused, like I feel right now, because we're going to be going down to 9/11, to Ground Zero on 9/11. Harry's going to be down there for the whole weekend, probably earlier than, I don't know exactly when he's coming down. And I'm really looking forward to trying to reach people in a way that isn't really bullhorned or, you know, like all of that, but more in a cohesive, coherent, rational state of mind. A lot of times my anger gets the better of me, and it's just my passion for the truth and the fact that there's so many things that are wrong. And so many things that we can fix. In fact, most of these things we can fix just by exposing these criminals. Like, we know, like, imagine if everybody just knew these guys were criminals. Like, yeah, you're a criminal, you're a crook. Bush, Clinton, you're criminals. Obama, you're a criminal. All of these people, you know, you're a war criminal, you know, you're a liar. If the whole country was on the same page, like we are, those that are awake, those that are aware, and then and are part of the solution, then we would have that critical mass. And we're reaching that, as Roger Landry from We the People Network always says, the critical mass. We're reaching that point where we can get people to see, to wake up and understand that it's now or never. Because look, we're going over a cliff here. It's like we're in a fully loaded semi-trailer, a big, you know, big, huge trailer going down the highway, 80 miles an hour. All of a sudden, there's a cliff, and everyone's hitting the brakes, everything's flying all over the place, and we are going over that cliff because it doesn't matter. It's inevitable. The cliff, we cannot stop. The momentum is over the cliff. They're trying to hold it back as much as they can, but it's a cliff, and we're gonna fall over it. They can't even rein it back. What, rein it back with more debt? I mean, we were just talking about that earlier. I'm just saying, very much today, just today, our federal debt, I'll put the camera on the paper here, our federal debt, all right, for the first time, has reached over $16 trillion. Now, I've been calling it around 16 trillion for a while. I was guesstimating I'm pretty good with my guesstimations because now it's official. 16 trillion, 15 billion, 769,788,215.88. Now, Obama has added 5.4 trillion so that it makes it easier for us all to be poor and want to take drugs and get on this Obamacare system so that they can get their antidepressants. It's crazy, but it's true. And it's unbelievable, you know, and that's what they're doing. So everyone's going to want to kill themselves. They're going to be like, the economy sucks. Let me kill myself like they're doing in Europe. Oh, my God. Oh, God in heaven. So the amount that's gone up is astronomical. In 2000, here, I'm just going to show this to the audience. In 2000, oops, wrong screen. All right. In 2000, you can see, I got to get this right. There you go. You can see the lower end of the ladder there in 2000. Okay. It was at, I don't know, what was that like? 55 billion or whatever. And it rose to, it was 5 trillion. 5 trillion. It was $5 trillion in the year 2000. So we had a $5 trillion national debt. No one was even talking about that. It's because everyone was thinking that Bill Clinton, like, abolished the debt because that's the way the mainstream media applied the knowledge of the information to the sheeple. The sheeple all think, oh, but Clinton, he balanced the debt. He'd say he paid off the debt. No, he balanced the budget. He had a surplus. But, I mean, it wasn't a surplus. Come on. How can you call a surplus when you had $5 trillion of debt? But anyway, so that's where we were when Billy Boy Clinton left off with our surplus and the economy rising. Well, as the economy was in this, obviously the debt was rising in fashion with this. This doesn't go beyond earlier than 2000. But you can see with that little demonstration there that by 2008 we were doubled. So in 8 years we went to 10.6 trillion from 2000 to 2008, and of course that's because of 9/11 and all the wars and the money they had to spend on the buying all the military infrastructure and paying all the military industrial complex. This is what they do. And not only that, the money came from debt. We had to borrow the money to, so the Federal Reserve is now adding debt to that's part of this all this money. That's where it is. And it's debt money and interest on the debt. And interestingly enough, from 2008, it went from 10.6 trillion to 16 trillion in 4 years. I mean, that's just unbelievable. 5.4 trillion added under Obama. The debt has increased approximately 5.4 trillion. And the federal debt at the end of this current fiscal year will stand at 16.2 trillion. 6.2 trillion above where it was 4 years earlier. And in the last 4 years, the debt increased by more than it did in the previous 17 years. Well, sure, you're going to have all the wars. You're going to have to bail out the banks so they can rob us for more money so that you're part of the system while they enslave the people under totalitarian rule with, I mean, I said this before, the presidents set up these executive orders and then they'll be used later on. And it comes to pass, something is utilized from something that was put into legislation 10 years earlier. And then next thing you know, they're utilizing it And go like the actual example, best example would be the IRS itself. The reason the IRS was so nice and sneaky, and the Federal Reserve Criminal Crime Syndicate conglomerate was so effective because they didn't take any money out of anyone's check, and they said it'd only be like 1%, nothing. Who cares, right? Small amount of money. Things were getting better, I guess. You were going into the after the war. You had again profiteering with the military-industrial complex, but then you had jobs and things got better. Went into the Roaring '20s. Everyone was buying stock because, of course, Edward Bernays said that would be a good thing. Everyone should feel rich and be good. That was part of this feeling good. Be part of this whole society. Buy into the stocks. Starting to see the picture, ladies and gentlemen. Starting to see how important it is to understand how it works. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I can't stop it. All I can do is expose it. But we, the people, we can stop it because we know what these criminals are doing now. So now we're at this point, this juncture in life, where the committee warns under President Obama's proposed budget, the debt will surge to, this is a Republican committee, of course, so let's be a little, all right, maybe they're being a little overly stated, but still, to $25 trillion in 2012, and here's a chart dealing with that. So $25 trillion by 2022, excuse me. And that is scary because it does really demonstrate how they're moving, and this is what they're doing with these programs. It's insurmountable, but the Ponzi scheme won't be able to keep flying like this because it is a Ponzi scheme. And remember, the Federal Reserve Criminal Crime Syndicate's charter expires on 21 December of this year. So let's see what happens there. U.S. debt now hits $136,260 per household. Wow. So if everybody were to just say, listen, let's just clear this U.S. debt situation. I'm going to just give you $136,260 and let's just call it even. Well, obviously insane, in many places in this country, in many places in America, except for maybe in the New World Order, metropolitan urban areas like New York City or Chicago or any of these other, crime infested, and I don't mean crime as far as hooligans, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, white collar bankster criminals where they occupy and reside and do their bidding for Satan. These guys, it's nothing. 136,000. A lot of these guys make that in a week, and that's not even a joke, ladies and gentlemen. Some of them make it in a day. These people, the actual traders and bankers, and the owners. Well, the owners make that in an hour. But $136,260 per household, up 50%. Wow. Since President Obama was inaugurated on 2009. That's unbelievable. And according to the Census Bureau, there were approximately 117,538,000 households in the country in 2010. Thus, the current debt equals about $136,260 per household. When President Obama was inaugurated, the debt was $10 trillion and change, if you want to call it change. Here's some change for you. another $6 trillion. Okay, there's some change for you. And since that's increased by 5.38 trillion, whatever. Okay, that equals an increase of about 45,000 per household. So we were already standing at the threshold. We were well under 100,000 per household. So it was down to, our U.S. debt was down 45,000. So it's down about 90,000 per household. And now 136,260 per household. That's change you can believe in, baby. Now, not that Romney is any better. Romney is bad news, owned by the same political interests, the same criminal cartel that I expose here on Truth Talk News nightly, Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on TruthBroadcastNetwork.com. And it's always a pleasure and an honor to share my time with you folks. And I'm serious, really. Everybody look at this information, research it. It is the truth, all of it. And please, please go to Barbara Hartwell versus CIA. She really could use some help. She's in a desperate situation. By the end of October, she's going to be, practically homeless, if not. So please, help out. Be generous, a couple of dollars, $5, $20, anything, some food. She's in a serious situation, and she is a patriot who is responsible for more good than most that don't even know. I mean, look at her blog, read it. Don't just think that read her blog, read her entries. Look at the Hall of Shame and understand why. And then there's links. Please go there. That's Barbara Hartwell versus CIA. And again, I want to thank Pam Suggs, UnitedTruthSeekers.com, and I want to thank Harry Link, who will be broadcasting in just a few minutes with Death to the New World Order here on TruthBroadcastNetwork.com. Really looking forward to getting down and dirty with the people, the sheeple, waking up the sheeple as we try to move along. Now, speaking about what's going on in our country and Europe and talking about this, keeping it sort of topical, what about the food stamps? Now, food stamp use climbs to record levels, and the government's actually saying, why don't people aren't aware, not enough people are using the government programs to further bankrupt us, and everyone thinks that that's terrible. We have all these programs, that's why they're there. Use them, please, especially all the people all the research done at the Brookings Institute and all these other places. We must help the people. Anyhow, so the fact is that what we need to do is just be self-sufficient and have the economy working for us instead of being deindustrialized like we are and have been for the last 50 years. The deindustrialization of our planet is bringing everything to a common ground, and others will flourish as they bring up, and then eventually they reach a level they'll be deindustrialized to the same point, and it will be much like Orwell's 1984, ladies and gentlemen, if we don't stand up. Because food stamp use reached a record 46.7 million people in June, and participation was up 0.4% from May and 3.3% higher than a year earlier. So it's going up. People are not making enough money, even if they are getting a job. The jobs don't pay. That's because the globalists haven't figured it all out. They've split the family. They put in the women's lib movement, thinking that they would have all this freedom and everything. Meanwhile, wages slowly, inflation goes up and the dollar value goes down. Wages become stagnant. And next thing you know, you need a two-income family to pay what every one income earner could have afforded. So in 20 years, you went from being able to have one man feed a family of four, or one woman, one breadwinner. Let's not be sexist. One breadwinner to now where you need two, at least, maybe with two jobs apiece to make the same, to live the same lifestyle in the same standard of living. This is the New World Order, and we're really in a pickle, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't see it ending anytime soon, unless it will end. It'll end with the fact that home ownership will be a fantasy, and only the privileged few will own homes, and you will have a situation where, absolutely, you'd have a situation where they'll stack them and they'll build these cities. They'll put they're already planning all these high-speed rail lines for all this commuting, but everything will all be packed into these cities, and the cities near the rails will all pack them and stack them housing, and that's the way it's going to be, ladies and gentlemen. That is the way it's going to be. Anyway, I'm Howard Nema, and you've been watching Truth Talk News, and thank you for joining me and spending your time with me. Please tune in again tomorrow night from 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on TruthBroadcastNetwork.com. And all I can say about that is that we the people, we will rise. Tune in Monday to Thursday, Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m., here on TruthBroadcastNetwork.com. That's right, we the people, we will rise.
Government-sponsored experiments did take place at hospitals, universities, and military bases around our nation. Some were unethical, not only by today's standards, but by the standards of the time in which they were conducted.
Any attempt to achieve world order must be the work of the devil. Well, join me. I'm glad to sit here at the right hand of Satan.
There's a need for a new world order. Someday, in the next few years, a solution will emerge.
I just remember, all I'm doing is remember when I was a kid. I remember that they used to put out there in the Old West a wanted poster. It said, wanted, dead or alive. All I want, and America wants him brought to justice. That's what we want.
And, you know, again, I don't know where he is. I repeat what I said. I truly am not that concerned about him.
Why are you and the Vice President insisting on appearing together before the 9/11 Commission?
Because you're criminals, that's why.
Because the 9/11 Commission wants to ask us questions. That's why we're meeting. And I
Listen to this childlike
your questions.
asking why you're appearing together rather
Oh,
than separately.
excuse
which
me.
was their request.
I'm not a Skull and Bones member. I didn't jerk off in a coffin
to answer questions
and tell everybody what I did for my sexual history.
Looking forward to asking us, and I'm looking forward to answering them.
Oh, yes, I bet
Let's
you
see.
are, Mr. Bush. You know, it's amazing. Look to the future, forget about it. Look to the past. And remember the past, or you'll be condemned to repeat it.
Yeah. There's time for politics. And, you know, it's time for politics. And,
I'm just a terrible actor and liar. And a disgrace. And a war criminal. Oh, they jump right on that to squash the thoughts. Oh, yes.
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories concerning the attacks of September the 11th. Malicious lies that attempt to shift the blame away from the terrorists themselves, away from the guilty.
Oh, my God.
they hate our freedoms. Our freedom of religion, our freedom of speech, our freedom to vote and assemble and disagree with each other.
They hate our imperialism, exactly.
They stand against us because we stand in their way. We're not deceived by their pretenses to piety.
9/11 was an inside job. And I'll be down with Harry Link at Ground Zero on 9/11, here on TruthBroadcastNetwork.com.
UN Agenda 21, bailouts, sellouts, Lehman Brothers, Goldman Sachs, false flag, terror attacks, Bill Gates, Henry Kissinger, New World Order, mind control, Bank of America stealing homes with cut and paste mortgage loans, police, state, taser guns, FEMA camps, man to run, Monsanto rules the food supply while Big Pharma dopes your mind, prison system, profiteers, foundations, fund the fears, fund the evil through the years, the world's not as it appears. CIA smuggles drugs while Wachovia and Wells Fargo launder them, then give the proceeds to the owners of the Federal Reserve Bank. Now the IRS takes money out of every single check. Money they created out of thin air and leave you with debt. They want to make you a serf, a slave to their demand. They want to take your life in every way they can. Fluoride, GMO, vaccines, chemtrails, United Nations genocide. The world they show us is not real. This is how they kill and steal. Rothschild, Bundy, Rockefeller, Club of Rome. On the Georgia Guidestones it's written in stone. Cut through the matrix, awaken to the lies. Do not be hypnotized. We are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
– 9/11. An indelible image. A traumatic event experienced by the whole world. I'm Howard Nema of We Are Change Connecticut. Truth Talk News here on TruthBroadcastNetwork.com. Got a lot to talk about, current and past events. But first, let's take a look at some truth.
focus right now is on Osama bin Laden, no question about it. He's the prime suspect in his organization.
You want bin Laden dead?
I want him held. I want justice. And there's an old poster out west, as I recall, that said "Wanted, dead or alive." We will do what it takes to find the terrorists, to rout them out, and to hold them accountable.
We have seen their kind before. They are the heirs of all the murderous ideologies of the 20th century. By sacrificing human life to serve their radical visions, by abandoning every value except the will to power, they follow in the path of fascism, Nazism, and totalitarianism. And they will follow that path all the way to where it ends, in history's unmarked grave of discarded lies. There will be no going back to the era before September the 11th, 2001, to false comfort in a dangerous world.
The families, and I'm a family member who lost a loved one on 9/11, we're the reason there was an investigation, a fraudulent bullshit investigation, and we do demand a new investigation, like the architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth demand a real investigation.